Yo, what's good? What's up, guys? Tineo here, and today I'm going to be showing you three of UHE's synths. I'm going to be showing you Hive 2, a really great EDM style synth with really lots of great features. And I'm going to show you Repro 5, which is one of their really great analog synths. And then we're going to go and dive into Diva. Diva is their analog synthesizer with tons and tons of controls. You got oscillators upon oscillators and filters and cutoffs on top of cutoffs. Man, you can do so many really great things with this synth. You guys have got to dig in. So today I'm going to bring you a little bit into how to make a acid bass line, and then we're also going to make some lush pads on top of a beat that I just kind of put together for you guys, so you guys can just kind of listen to what this thing sounds like. Let's get right into it. And here we have Diva, and first off the bat you can see that the first section here is in black, and basically this is where you're going to go ahead and pick your different sorts of oscillators or envelopes and pick which ones you want to mesh together or use. So just to give you a little bit of upfront on it, here in the first section here we have the triple VCO, dual DCO, dual VCO, and digital. So those are all your different oscillator types. You have here your mixer section, which also changes with depending on what you choose here. So with the triple VCO, we have a mixer section here. This is VCF section. You can also change from ladder to cascade, multi-mode, byte, and my favorite is the UB right now for this bass line. So we're gonna go ahead and choose that UB for that, and we're gonna leave these envelopes the same, although we have analog and we have digital, emulating those old school keyboards. I'm not gonna mention the ones, but you know who they are just by those little knobs or sliders. So here we go. Let's make a bass line. What I did is I made a pretty simple bass line here, pretty simple pattern, and we're just gonna go ahead and play that. Now this is all default. Nothing here has been tweaked, so we're just gonna start it from a raw slate. Okay, nothing much to it. It sounds pretty basic. We're gonna go ahead and start to play around with this cutoff. Bring those filters a little closer and sharper in. We're gonna give it a little envelope, that second envelope. And as you can see, these little triangles here, they allow you to have drop down menus, so you can go ahead and choose what you want to control in that section. Really cool, lots of flexibility. Okay, we're gonna turn that second LFO up. Part of having an acid bass line is that you need that resonance, and you need that kind of warbly kind of sound to it. So we're gonna go ahead and try to give it that flavor. This sounds really cool. I think now what we'll do is we'll automate some of these cutoffs and some of this resonance and just kind of give it some movement and some feel, and I think we'll be good. Nice. And there you go. We have an acid bass line, really simple. And I haven't even begun to really go in and really tweak this and just kind of really get it to where it's like crazy. But man, so much you can do. I'm gonna see if I can add a little bit of chorus to this and see what it sounds like, and I think that's it. Yeah. And there you have it. There's our acid bass line. Next, let's throw on some lush pads. One thing I will say about Diva is it sounds really great, and you might want to pay attention to the settings in terms of the quality of Diva, and that can be relating to your computer system. So you might want to definitely, as you use more and more voices, if you're going polyphonic, you'll want to make sure that the accuracy down here in this section is tuned into, to the right computer power you might have. Divine is all the voices, really great sound, top notch. And as you go down a little further down, you will eliminate some processing power by going a little bit less in quality, but still a great, really great sound. So that being said, it's also recommended that you bounce your files after you've done them. Especially if they have a lot of voices, because as you keep putting different instances of Diva, it could clog up your CPU. So we're going to go ahead and do that now before we throw in those lush pads. We're going to go ahead and consolidate this file, bounce it down, and get ready for the pads. First things first, let's choose a waveform. So let's choose the first one. A little bit between the square, this other wave here. All right, let's change the range up on that one. A little higher range. Let's keep the saw on that one, and on the third one, let's go a little lower. That sounds more like an organ, but we're gonna make that sound into a pad. Now, here, let's see. Let's change this VCF. All right, here we go. Now we want some release because we want those pads to just kind of be flowy, and then we're also going to kill some of the attack, right? So first, let's give it some decay. Okay. Now we just need to tweak the sound a little bit. All right, it sounds like we're getting there, closer. Nice. I think I like that second LFO. Let's turn up this FM, this first oscillator, see if we can get that to... Right. Let's see what that sounds like. Now I have a pattern here that I already set up. So let's see what that sounds like with it. See if that makes any sense here. That's serious modulation. So let's see if we can cut that down a bit. Kind of like that. A little nicer. A little tiny bit. Now you know it's like the tiny little bit of movement to these parameters can make a huge difference. That sounds pretty cool. Let's hear it with the track. Let's blend this in a little bit better. Add a little chorus. Oh yeah. Sounds really cool. Sounds really cool. I think what we need to do is we'll take away a little bit of this chorus so it's not too drowned. Nice. And in here, I'd like to add a little delay. So let's do a little delay. Let's make sure. Oh yeah, that's really cool. Tweak a little bit of that cut off. Oh yeah. Turn that bass down a bit. And there we have it. Some Lush pads on Diva. And Diva comes filled with tons of patches, a lot of stuff that you can really get into. Hope you guys enjoyed. Next up, we have Hive 2. And just to give you a little bit about what you're looking at here, you see a lot of dials, a lot of preferences, a lot of really great stuff to tweak your sound to get it to sound right. but I'm going to show you what's going on here. So at the first half, the dark gray section, you have your oscillator section and your filter section. And this is basically where you're going to choose what kind of waveform you might want to pick, what kind of filter you might want to pick, and some of the other preferences on now going into the secondary oscillator. And as well, these also have sub oscillators also within each one. So it's a total of 4, and then you have 2 additional filters here on either side, and you have some preferences here on how you want that filter to react, or your LFO to react. And then here in the middle section, in the light gray section, you have your preferences on now the different types of filters and LFOs you might want to trigger, or you might want to choose different types. As you can see, we have sine, we have triangle, saw up, saw down. So this is kind of where you go ahead and start developing those cool modulations. And as you can see, you have just tons of preferences that you can go ahead and choose from, as well as here you have your function, you have some shaping, and down here in the last bottom gray section, the dark gray, you have matrices, which is pretty much like almost like patches that can affect the sound in different ways. So number one, you have really easy access when you want to control stuff. Just to show you a little bit, we're gonna go ahead and put on that first one, shape A, and then we can choose now what we might want to control with this kind of easy access matrix. So if we want to control the LFO, now we have just kind of an easy button to control that LFO, and that also affects here your step sequencing, your step shape sequencing, as he calls it. And I'll get a little bit more in depth into that. So here you can set up just kind of different kind of easy access matrices or patches to your different functions to make it kind of easy for you to automate, or for you to kind of go ahead and tweak your shape settings in your sequencer here. Just to keep moving along, in this middle section here, right here where we're at scope, this will give you a scope of your different tones and the different lanes of your preferences for each particular waveform. So say you can have on that top line there your LFO and how that's affecting your sound, and then you have on that second line you might have the mod going on that you're also want to affect or want to look at. And that's pretty much the scope section. Here in the effects section, you can see they have just really a bunch of really cool effects you can add to your sound. You have distort, chorus, reverb, phaser, EQ, compressor, delay, and you have different types of delays here. You have your XY pad for some cool, freaky stuff. And you have your arpeggiator to go ahead and, give you those nice arpeggiated or sequencer parts. And that is the middle section there. So moving right along, what I want to do is make a basic thick bass sound, and also just kind of give it a nice crunch and maybe detune it a little bit and see what that sounds like. And then I'll go into a little bit of the shaping of the steps shape sequencer here. So here we go. Let's get into a bass line and see what this sounds like. Now I have something programmed already that I just did a simple pattern on and a simple beat just to give you guys just a listen of what Hive 2 sounds like. Basic bass, but now we're gonna go ahead and tailor it and make it ours. So let's change the waveform. Let's go for a triangle on that first oscillator. I'm gonna turn on the second oscillator here, right? And then just lower the volume a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and throw some unison on there. That sounds nice. All right, let's do a little modulation. So let's choose to patch this low frequency oscillator right here. Let's turn that up a little bit. Oh yeah, that sounded nice right there. All right, let's go and put a little bit of a mod envelope on there. That sounds pretty cool. Now again, these sub oscillators here, you can choose different waveforms, or you can just put it to like oscillator, so it'll be the same waveform. It just kind of doubles it up. All right, let's listen to see what that sounds like with the beat. And here we go. That's sitting pretty good right there. All right, now let's put on a little bit of a detune on that. About 35%. That sounds mean. Let's see what that sounds like. All right, now let's look at this step shape sequencer, and there's pretty much 8 steps here, and each one of the steps you can go ahead and you can tweak the actual shape of that waveform per step. So as you can see, I just click on the actual step, choose the segment type, and you can always edit these any which way you like. And this now affects, when you hold down that sound, it will affect now the sequence of that waveform, and it'll go in 8 steps. So it'll go ahead and it'll hit each one of these as it goes along. Nice. Let's add a little effect on here. Let's add a little compression. Lower that a little bit. It's starting to sound like something. Let's add a little distortion. Change the tone a little bit. There you have it, Hive 2. And finally here we have Repro 5. It's kind of an emulation of the Prophet 5. As you can already see, it sort of looks like it already. So just to give you a roundabout view on what we're looking at here in the first section, we have the voice mod, we have oscillator A, mixer, we have your filter section here, we have an amplifier section, voice detune, glide, we have the second oscillator B here, we have a matrix, wheel mod, LFO, and that is the front of it. Now, one of the things I really like about this, and I don't know, maybe I geek out, but When you hit the tweaks, that gives you kind of an inside look, kind of like a circuit board inside the nuts and bolts of it, which is cool. And then you have some additional preferences here that you will not see in this main synth screen. So you got to hit tweaks in order to get to the tweaks. And so you can see here that pretty much everything is the same like the front, except you'll have extra knobs and buttons here. Like you have your no DC here for your LFO sync. You have some feedback and noise, which you will not see when this is not activated. So you have your voice panning and some poly voice stuff here, relocate. You have some unison preferences here, and you have this micro tuning, which you can pick from these different tuning files. That's really cool. And so yeah, pretty much everything here is the same as the front, except you have extra preferences to change the way your waveforms sound like. So why don't you guys take a listen to this? It sounds really awesome. That's sweet, man. So I'm going to run through a few patches so you guys can take a listen to what this sounds like. And why don't we go ahead and load some stuff up. Now you can get to presets just by clicking on this screen here. But if you want to get a better view of the presets, you just hit the preset button and that'll load you in right here where you have your directories and categorized by different stuff like basses, leads, keys, and then you have your user presets in case you want to save your own. You have your favorites, and you have some tags here for categories. It really simplifies the way you look for stuff because with so many sounds you can get lost. And also you have the author who made these patches, which is nice as well. So let's run through some leads. Let's start with this ARK Digital 80. Nice. Let's check out some keys. Just going to play a couple sounds out of each one of these, or a few of them. Let's try the sequence. Nice. Let's try some pads. Holy Gates. Nice. Let's try some percussion. Ooh, that's a really deep kick. Very nice. Let's try these bells. Very cool. Let's try some loops. Definitely has that retro 80s Moogie synth sound, you know, the Prophet sound. nice. Man, I can have so much fun with this. That's it. That was the Repro 5. So far, we've covered 3 of UHE's synths. We've covered the Diva, the Hive 2, and the Repro 5. Thanks, guys, for stopping in, for taking the time. Peace and love. My name is Luis Tineo here at Headspin Studios. Take care. Before you guys go, I want to give you a brief introduction to UHE's color copy delay. It has great saturation and color on the feedback end, so you can get those really like cool retro or lo-fi sorts of delays, and some clean ones and really creative ones too. So stick around. I'm going to show you guys what's up. So here, color copy, we're just going to take a look at the front here, and you can see that this first section here, we have your input knob, so your signal coming into the unit, and then we have your rate, which you can see you have visual cues there on where your rate is according to your quantization type for your delay. And you also have 0.1, 0.01. This is like really tight delay, like phasing and stuff like that for some cool stuff. And regen is your regeneration, where it's like feedback. Here we have your key control, and we have makeup gain. So basically you can turn up the input to get more saturation and more color going in without disturbing or distorting the output. So that's why the makeup gain is there. And here we have some feedback feeding back. Here we have width for your stereo imaging, and we have your mix knob and your output knob here on the right. Here we have a freeze button as well, so in case you want to do those cool delay effects where you want to freeze something and just have it feedback and have it carry out, you can do that. And we have your invert button here to invert the feedback. Here we also have some sub menus under feedback and input to choose now whether you want something to crossfade here in your feedback, or you want it to mix, or you want the input to be crossed left and right, mono, and summed left and summed right. So that's that. And down here we have your ducking, which is really cool, so that your delays don't sound like they're just kind of overlapping over the source. These will actually kind of go ahead and prevent that, so that the delay will only kick in once you set your ducking accordingly, so that the delay will duck when the source is happening, and the delay will then come in when the source is not happening. So these are different parameters that you can change here on the left. And here's the the really cool section here is the color and saturation on the feedback part of it. So if you wanted to have that nice kind of lo-fi kind of delay at the coming in instead of like a bright delay, or you wanted to have something with a little bit more shine, or you can basically dictate with this color button how you want that feedback of that delay to sound. And here you have just really easy numbers here that represent, and colors that represent what the saturation levels are: reso, sparkle, fuzz, snap, and dusk. And then you have vintage and low, you have your brightness, and you have your saturation. Here you have some modulation so that you can actually modulate the feedback as well to create some really cool effects. You have different rate here. You have minus rate, plus, tap positive, and amp level. And then here you have some waveforms, triangle and sine wave. And here we have some frequency pot. We have a depth pot for the modulation. You can see those lights going back and forth. Shows you that it's working. And then we have stereo phasing. So why don't we give this a listen and see what it sounds like with these different presets that we have. We have tons of presets, so let's give them a listen.